Today on Listen Up, the value faith brings to democracy. With Canadians heading to the polls, we head to Ottawa. Next. Today, we're in Ottawa, exploring the value that religious faith brings to Canadian democracy. Welcome to Listen Up. I'm Lorna Dueck. We're the show that gets behind the headlines, news that takes you deeper, looking for a Christian perspective on the issues that are shaping our lives, and what more so than a federal election. There's no shortage of campaign buzz as party leaders engage constituents when it's time for a Canadian federal election. All are hoping to win their way to the most coveted real estate in Ottawa. And that's the office of the Prime Minister. So what do the candidates have to say about the value of faith in democracy?
That's an interesting question, of which I have to say that although I'm a person of faith, the Green Party is not in any way engaged in promoting any religious faith, non-religious, atheist, agnostic perspective. We have practical solutions for a society that includes and embraces all faiths and non-faiths. It's critical that we keep church and state separate.
Here's an idea of how that separation is defined.
Say the separation of the institutions of church and state is a good idea. But the separation of one's faith from what you believe should be done in the living of your life is a very bad idea. You can't ask people to do that. Our Constitution guarantees that that won't be done. We do have freedom of conscience and belief and action and speech and association.
And so the faith vote is being targeted.
We are now a pluralist society, a big-time pluralist society, and everyone in that pluralist society has an expectation that their faith vote will be recognized and respected. And we have, in some measure, practiced a freedom from religion rather than a freedom of religion.
I think the notion of pluralism has come, unfortunately, to mean the notion of secularism, which has come to mean that there should be no place for religion or faith in the voicing of your public beliefs. But pluralism doesn't mean the absence of any voice. It means the presence of every voice, including the voice of faith. But again, the issue is, how do we engage? We haven't engaged well in the past in some ways, and so we need to learn from those mistakes, which we often learn most from, and then engage more effectively, wisely, and graciously.
This author says Ottawa is taking notice of that change.
We've had since 2006 with Harper a government that had made it a policy to court conservative Christians as part of its party building process and to welcome them more into the political process.
There is a component of our society that thinks that faith people or faith organizations should be expunged from discourse in civil society.
I don't feel that any group having a voice is to be feared. I think airing sentiments, demystifying, destigmatizing beliefs is very healthy in our democratic process. But let's have an honest debate. I think that no matter who you are, even if you call yourself an atheist or an agnostic, you bring a set of beliefs to your actions, to your life. And we're all motivated by that. That's just reality. To deny that is to actually not accept human nature.
Tell us about how faith has influenced your politics.
I mean, it's kind of like asking, how does it influence your breathing? It's the same kind of question. Like, I don't have this kind of like a compartmentalized mindset as to well, now I'm being a faith person and now I'm being a political person. I don't think it quite works that way. At least it doesn't for me. I just see it as just the way I do politics as opposed to the way a faith person does politics. I like to take some satisfaction in some of the private members' bills initiatives that I've taken, and I think those, at core, those are expressions of my own Christian faith.
The Tories' proposal to establish an Office of Religious Freedom is another expression of faith. And for this activist, championing religious freedom is fundamental to democracy.
Well, I would argue that faith views are human rights views, that faith communities are concerned about the dignity of each and every human being. And for example, in the last century, it was the people like Mao or Hitler or Stalin who were fiercely anti-religion of any kind, that regarded human beings as having no more value than an ant or a matchstick. So, in my view, unless it's somebody like the Ayatollah Khomeini, most religious communities have enormous respect for human beings and respect for human beings and dignity of human beings.
Coming up, faith-based activists. Nellie McClung was one of my favorites. She helped women get the vote. We'll find out who are today's faith-based activists. Join us.
Christians need to engage in every aspect of culture, in law, in politics, government.
Why should the religious voice not be part of the mosaic?
One thing that comes to mind would be the prostitution and human trafficking issue.
We have, for the last 5 years, been working quite diligently on Canada's mission in Afghanistan.